Continuing on from where Apostle Tahar left off. Shalom, first and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honor, Zales and Apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity, and shout out to Yakims out there in the four corners of the earth who claim this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakatum. So the word Edom, mentioned in the Old Testament 89 times. And in the New Testament, Edom became Rome. We know this, that this is the second beast, having all the power of the first beast before him. Like everything else, though. You know, the Edomites ruled as the Roman Empire the first time, and is now in the second leg where America, Babylon the Great, leads. Continue on where Apostle Tahar left off.
Anyway, so let's come on back. So the word Edom is in the scriptures 87 times.
87 I meant.
Let's move on. Look at that, Isaiah 6, I'm sorry, Isaiah. Psalm 60 verse 1. It says, and Joab returned and smote of Edom in the valley of Salt 12,000 of the Most High. But all of a sudden the Most High really was rooting for Edom. He always really loved Edom. Thou hast cast off. Thou hast scattered us. Thou hast been displeased, O turn thyself to us again. Just come on back. I'm sorry. Let's look at some more. Right, this is the list of your enemies. And that never changed. If that changed, Edom is not our enemies anymore, that means the Most High changed. And the Most High cannot change. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Because he can change his I hate Israel, I'm going to destroy him, I'll put Edom up. So you want to go ahead and listen to a car on the side, you go right ahead and get confused. Moab is my wash pot. Now that goes into a lot of things. But the Most High, if somebody clean your clock, they wash you out. Guess what? Esau's in a position of washing Edom. Moab is in a position of washing Edom. Most High said, Moab is my wash pot. I'm going to use you to wash out Edom. All Moab has to do is call for an embargo against America, Babylon. And this place will die overnight. Because really what happened when Nero 47 went over there to China, he was really kissing ass. He was kissing their asses. He went over there with a proverbial tin cup, a seeing-eye door, and a cane with some fucking dark glasses on. Moab has the power. They're saying the new world power is Moab. Remember the two world powers was America and Russia. Well, you got America, Russia, and China. Russia and China are allied to each other. But economically, Moab is the chief power. They can destroy without shooting one missile. Moab can call for an embargo. Look at the word embargo. Like General Yohana said to Market Beast, an embargo. You got to look up the word embargo. An embargo means I make goods and I export them to other countries, and I said I don't like that country we're at war. They don't get any of my goods. Every motherfucking thing that you get, from your smartphone to your smart TV to your refrigerator to whatever, the parts of your car, all this shit come from China. I can't stress this enough. All they got to do is say we ain't sending nothing to. That's why you don't have BYDs over here, which are Ability Dream, which are a car company. It might be more than a car company. They can make cars. They can make electric cars, EVs, that are just as good as Teslas, but for an even lower price. They can make a car just as good as like about $70,000 Tesla, a Tessie, for about $20,000, or even more. A couple thousand more, but way cheaper. If they were able to export everything to America, the Chinese, all these car companies will be done. So I'm gonna tell you something. When Biden was in office, Biden put 100% tariff. Now we know what tariffs are. You gotta know what embargo, tariff, the difference between an embargo and a tariff. The tariff is a tax. The reason why you don't have BYD cars, which are great cars, over here in America, it's in Europe and all over the place. Big in Europe. Put in BYDs in Europe. You get all kind of information. Because Biden put 100% tariff on the BYDs, these vehicles. So let's say they make a $70,000 BYD. By the time it comes to America, you got to pay for it. That's 140 plus tax. You paying well over 100, almost $160,000, $170,000 for a $70,000 car, which is far better than any American car. Anyway, so Moab got the power. Only reason why the Moab ain't pulled back is the Most High is controlling Moab. Here it is again. Moab does not wash pot over Edom. I will cast out my shoe over Philistine while I triumph. I'm not going to read all of these. Another one. Let's talk about this going to happen. Will this happen? And this is getting ready to happen. No, let me do this. So these guys will say, well, Edomites are not important in the scriptures. I didn't even go into the prophetic parts of the Bible. You know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Okay, I'm going to copy this. Look at that. Isaiah 49. Edom is written there 4 times so far. Lamentations. Ezekiel. These are all future prophecies, by the way. Jeremiah 49, Lamentation 4, Ezekiel 25. Daniel 11 took place already. Joel 3 verse 19. Edom. And this is the future. This is how you know Edom is here. Wow. Look at that. This tells you you can hate Edom. Edom is your enemy. Obadiah. That whole chapter is dedicated to the downfall of the Edomites. Malachi, and this is what the Most High says in it from the first verse. I hate Edom. You got these Edomite women, they got a thing for Jake now. They always had a thing for Jake, but more so. That's the Most High putting the spirit back on Jake, making him precious. Esau knows that we are the powers. We are the power. We are the superheroes. Okay, I thought that's I couldn't go somewhere. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do this. Okay, I don't need him. I don't need this one. Okay. Okay, we don't need this. This is what we need. Just let it come on up. Give me a second, y'all. Okay, here we go. In the theology of James Green Millstone Israelite movement, Isaiah 11 verse 14 is viewed as an end-time prophecy describing the military and territorial reclaiming of the earth by the 12 tribes of Israel. We'll be a superpower. What does Psalms 2 say? Why did the heathens raise and the people imagine a vain thing? The Arabs are imagining a vain thing. Moab is imagining a vain thing. Isaiah 11 also says we're going to deal with Moab too. The reunited tribes. There was a time, I don't know if they went up there and told Esau, there was a time that the two kingdoms are going to come back together. It's happening now. Look at the 12 tribe sign. You marking the 12 tribe sign, but when was that? When was Ezekiel 37 verse 16 fulfilled? Wasn't fulfilled during the time of Ezekiel, because they would have told you. This is Ezekiel, he wrote down in the all was fulfilled when the Messiah did his walk, his ministry. Messiah never walked around with no 12 tribe sign. His thing was Judah. He wasn't even dealing with the other tribes. That came about, repeated in Acts chapter 10, Acts chapter 11, and then when Paul became the apostle. I'm an apostle of Gentile, therefore I magnify my office, meaning he went to a lot of Israelites in a Gentile mindset. That's what Romans 11 is all about. Romans 11 is a very easy breakdown. It's very easily broken down. That ain't talking about the wild olive tree. The wild olive tree are Israelites. Like these YNs. That's a wild olive tree. Pursuant to Jeremiah. It says the reunited tribes. The verse mentions Ephraim and Judah working together. When did that happen? Did that happen? Esau don't say that. to plunder and take control of surrounding regions. GMS teaches that this represents the physical reunification of the 12 tribes of Israel after a long period of division and captivity. This is how you know that the number one group on the planet Earth are former One Westers, which you got IUIC, ICBK. Now I'm going to say some good stuff about ICBK and IUIC. They teach them, they going to the 12 tribes, that's a good thing. So we applaud them for that. But you got to teach them about the chip. You got to teach them about the chip. I hope you all wake up. I hope the leadership tells the people the truth, because you're lying to the people. GMS is always right. The subjugation of enemies. The passage lists groups like the Philistines, Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, and ultimately all nations around about us. GMS identifies these ancient people for modern-day Gentiles and oppressive nations. They believe that upon the return of the Messiah, Yahushua, in the Hebrew, thank you, the Israelites will be given rulership, we'll get them women back, power, and that's Romans 9 verse 4, and authority, because we're going to teach them the laws, over their former captives, and the ones that did not put us in captivity. They're smaller, not a major nation that didn't put us in captivity, but they go into captivity too. The physical kingdom, in contrast to the traditional Christian interpretation that often view this passage as merely a spiritual or allegorical triumph. There is a spiritual kingdom, but there's a physical kingdom. The New Jerusalem is a physical kingdom ruled by the Israelites under the authority of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. GMS strictly interprets Isaiah 11:14 as a literal physical, right? They mention they're talking about spiritual Moabites, spiritual Edomites, spiritual Ammonites, the spiritual Philistines. They're talking about these actual people. They believe the Israelites will repossess the earth and subdue the other nations. We're going to hear the lamentation of their women, right? See the enemy driven before you, defeat the enemy. See the enemy driven before you, and they hear the lamentation of the women. And according to Job, the women ain't going to laminate. They're going to fall in love with us. It says, and subdue the other nations during the establishment of the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven played out on earth. Beautiful. Okay, let me see some. Okay, this is some BS. Anyway, I believe I said enough. Let me shut my mouth and move on. With that, I would say shalom. I hope y'all were edified. Shalom.
And so we had a close call, right? You know, if you believe that they were trying to actually go after the president, but nonetheless, though, eruption happened yesterday, you know, as you know that they were looking to attack Iran and trying to force a peace deal, right? But then you had this incident happen which shut down D.C. for a little while. Gunman dead. Bystander wounded after large shootout with Secret Service near White House. Very busy day in D.C. at the White House, given Saturday flurry of diplomatic activity over the announcement of a tentative Iran peace deal, but which is still awaiting word and some details from Tehran. Deadly shooting erupted just outside the White House, resulting in a massive security and response and presence. President Trump at the White House, when around 1800 hours Eastern Time, the Secret Service responded in a hail of gunfire as 21-year-old Maryland man opened fire at 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, northwest near the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Somewhere between approximately 15 to 30 gunshots were fired, according to CBS News, which spoke to local law enforcement. President Trump was at the White House during the incident, but was not impacted, Secret Service spokesman later announced. Bystander was wounded, and the suspect was hit by security service officers. Upon returning fire, the gunman was wounded and taken to the hospital, where he later died. They'll probably say he was some sort of Iranian agent, right? Yeah, but here's what the official story is, if you believe it. I believe these things are staged, but okay, there it is.
The deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far
apart. Yeah, you can hear it. Like said before, 25 to 30 gunshot wounds. Ooh, yep, looks like totally staged, but you know, got to keep you listening, right? So nonetheless, though, got a few more videos here as we get into these things. So getting into some headlines here.
Hey everybody, Josh Schertz, World Alternative Media here, and are we in for another falsified pandemic, quote unquote, as we see evidence of a new Eventual One style simulation? We have Bill Gates' Gavi getting further promotion by the U.S. government and the big pharma lobby. House Bill readies $3.35 billion for future global health threat orchestration. H.R. 8595 keeps Bill Gates' vaccine syndicate Gavi.
Then all of a sudden Ebola breaks out, right?
Pipeline. No one should be shocked. The Maha movement was always a joke. They never meant to actually come in and stop any of the stuff that's happening. Obviously, as we see them reassess the Yoga Mat chemical in food, they are pushing for further pesticides and, of course, helping support Monsanto and Bayer in their removal of cancer warnings from Roundup on their products. Really evil stuff. And, of course, one of the big things right now is hantavirus, which I've been talking about for quite some time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot developed on that. I mean, I first talked about hantavirus, I think, in the 2010s on this channel. But we have Tedros of the World Health Organization.
Yeah, this douchebag.
Global pandemic simulation similar to Event 201. We're going to go into this and more today, my friends. Before we do, I urge people to check that link below.
There we go.
For RNC sort of in the description. It is sourced, not just a spraying disguise. All these things correlate, but we have House Bill readies $3.35 billion for future global health threat orchestration. H.R. 8595 keeps Bill Gates' vaccine syndicate Gavi plugged into U.S. funding pipeline. A newly released House Appropriations Bill would funnel $3.35 billion into an expanding international outbreak orchestration and global health threat infrastructure tied to vaccine campaigns, infectious disease programs, emergency response systems, and foreign public health expansion, while keeping the Gates-backed Gavi vaccine network plugged into the U.S. taxpayer funding pipeline. According to the House Oversight Committee's final COVID report, the international pandemic orchestration response to COVID-19 became an unprecedented global failure marked by censorship, scientifically unsupported mandates, mass economic destruction, historic learning loss, public health misinformation, unconstitutional pressure campaigns, catastrophic fraud, vaccine mandate coercion, and the expansion of centralized emergency response systems that the committee itself concluded caused immeasurable harm to Americans. Despite that catastrophic track record, the federal government is now moving to further institutionalize and financially expand the same international outbreak orchestration architecture that produced many of the most destructive pandemic-era policies and consequences in modern history. The new legislation, H.R. 8595, was introduced last month by U.S. Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, a Republican from Florida, as the National Security Department of State and Related Programs Appropriations Act of 2027. Now, of course, we have Tulsi
Looks like they got it in the butt.
What about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the guy who was, of course, confirmed by a pharma-funded house? I've been saying from the beginning, like, this stuff doesn't just happen. Like, the government doesn't create these issues and then come in and solve them for you. And no matter what kind of hopium they try to present to you in their election campaigns, like they actually care about you and the children and the injuries from the injections, they don't. They don't. I think that's blatantly obvious. However, we still have a lot of people saying, just wait, look what they're doing. Look what RFK Jr. is pushing measles vaccines on people right now. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. And wearable tracking and tracing devices, which will tell the government whenever you have a cold or if you cough, which allows them to come and force medicate you. I mean, it's insanity, and it's part of the new digital ID system. So RFK Jr. went from being against all this kind of stuff to, of course, being in favor of it, because obviously there's blackmail on him. And if you know anything about him, and I know a lot about him from his private life, you know that he certainly is blackmailed. I mean, there's no doubt. He's open about the things he's done that are less than good in the past, but I think it goes deeper than what has been claimed. Buried inside the bill's global health program section, it says,
they own him.
Billions for internationalized public
he might have sounded good at once, but he ain't taking on pharma.
Necessary
He's with
carry out
pharma.
provisions of Chapter 1 and 10 of Part 1 of the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 for global health activities. $3.350 billion. Now, that's $1 billion. $3.35 billion. You see it on the paperwork there. The bill then outlines how those funds may be used. According to legislation, taxpayer money can be used for, and I quote, training, equipment, and technical assistance to build the capacity of public health institutions and organizations in developing countries. That could involve mass injection, that could involve digital IDs, and the technocratic system that I talk about all the time. Meaning, the bill is not merely funding emergency humanitarian aid, it's funding the continued build-out of international public health infrastructure capable of coordinating surveillance systems, outbreak response mechanism, immunization campaigns, emergency response networks, and foreign health crisis operations across multiple nations. By the way, this article is from modernity.news, which I've been appreciating a lot of the work of lately. The legislation also explicitly authorizes programs tied to disaster preparedness, training for health crises, and programs to prevent, prepare for, and respond to unanticipated and emerging global health threats. The same section additionally funds immunization programs, infectious disease programs, HIV/AIDS programs, tuberculosis, malaria, polio, and other infectious diseases. Most notably, the bill explicitly keeps the Bill Gates-backed Gavi Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization Vaccine Coalition eligible to receive U.S. taxpayer money through the broader global health funding pool. Imagine that. It never ends, my friends. The legislation states funds appropriated under the paragraph may be made available for the United States contributions to the Gavi Alliance. It's right there, in black and white. Gavi operates as one of the central vaccine procurement I should be able to talk better after all these years of doing videos, and deployment hubs, it says, inside the international vaccination system, coordinating with governments, pharmaceutical corporations, NGOs, international organizations, and public-private health partnerships to push mass vaccination campaigns worldwide. The alliance was launched in 2000 with major backing from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. which is also majorly behind the rollout of the digital IDs in Sierra Leone and elsewhere.
Yep.
Significantly, the bill's language does not place a fixed cap on how much of the broader global health appropriation could ultimately flow into Gavi-related operations. Last year, HHS pulled funding from Gavi after HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. accused the organization of ignoring peer-reviewed vaccine safety evidence, silencing dissent during COVID-19, promoting COVID-19 shots for pregnant women, and continuing to heavily push the DTP vaccine despite 2017
That's where it sounded like RFK Jr. was on your side, but he really wasn't.
Or pertussis, we've gone into that many times. But alas, it is back in full swing now. And, of course, no one should be surprised. This has been, I mean, they say, oh, well, sit on your hands, elect Trump, he's going to end all this, while pushing the Maha movement, which, again, pharma-funded house confirms RFK Jr.
And remember, it was Trump that did Operation Warp Speed to push the vaccines.
Yep.
These
Let's
retards.
talk about it now with American human rights lawyer.
Here we go with this.
Dan Kovalik now joining us here live and worldwide on RT International. Dan, I'm very grateful to get you on the program, particularly on this story.
Remember, school was attacked by Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Rory. We've seen the video of relatives IDing the bodies of their loved ones. Your thoughts in general on this whole incident and how, Dan, there's no condemnation of Ukraine from any of these Western sponsors that back up?
Of course not. Because it's fun to bomb schools.
Heartbreaking. I mean, these are innocent civilians that were targeted and killed. You know, I've been to Lugansk and to Donetsk as well, several times since 2022. And, you know, these types of attacks on civilians, we have to remember, and very few Westerners have even know, had been carried out since 2014, right? The government in Kiev was attacking civilians in Lugansk and Donetsk since 2014, which is what led those two regions to declare independence, and which ultimately led them to also hold a referendum to finally join Russia.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, the Russian Foreign Ministry has invited the foreign press to come and visit the site of the attack. Let's show it in the Western press. But you know, the BBC and CNN actually refused the invitation. Why do you think that is? Is it about the story not fitting their narratives?
Well, I think that's absolutely the situation. The narrative has been for a long time that Russia's the aggressor, that Russia somehow hates the Ukrainian people, even though, by the way, most of the folks in Lugansk and Donetsk are, Russian ethnics who speak Russian. And that Ukraine, that they're the good guys. And when Ukraine does something like this and attacks
But it's fun.
Kills, 18
That's
people,
what the King of Babylon says. They're just going to go with the King of Babylon.
Runs very much counter to the
It's
narrative.
fun to bomb
and
schools.
It weakens the support that the Western
Lots of
public has for
fun.
this war.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, especially if the everyday European taxpayer keeps having to fork out more and more money for Kiev, and yet they're all getting hit across the social services sector. Pension funds are being raided. The everyday taxpayer is on rubber leg street these days.
But Russia has responded, and we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Regarding this attack against these school students, who do you think bears responsibility? We know it's a Ukrainian attack, but we also know that it's typically, almost always, more often than not, it's NATO member states who are giving Kiev targeting data, satellite data, and weapons that can achieve these kinds of attacks. Where does the blame lie?
Yeah, well, under international law, both the perpetrator and those that aid the perpetrator are equally responsible. And in this case, as you say, Europe and the United States bear a lot of the responsibility for this. I mean, the truth is, this war could not have gone on as long.
Yep. And they responded with the Reznik missiles, so here we go. Reznik missiles were used against Kiev for this. So there we go. These are Reznik ICBMs will be used. As you see, they're already getting used.
Not routine escalation. Russian President Vladimir Putin has deployed the nuclear-capable Oreshnik missile toward the Kyiv region, marking a rare and deliberate use of a high-end system. This comes just a day after a reported drone strike on a student dorm in Russian-controlled Luhansk. The timing signals response, not randomness, shaping the narrative of action and counteraction. Ukrainian media report Oreshnik missiles raining down on Kyiv, with footage indicating sequential impacts consistent with Mir-V deployment. The Oreshnik, a hypersonic intermediate-range ballistic missile, is designed for precision and penetration, making interception extremely difficult.
Very precise.
Its rarity defines its significance, used sparingly, but with clear intent.
Imagine when Russia moves these into West Asia. You know how close these places are.
President Volodymyr Zelensky had earlier warned
Imagine Turkey having a Reznik missile
strike involving what would be the third operational use of the Oreshnik.
Oh wait, Turkey has something equal to it, right?
This warning, according to Ukrainian and Western intelligence assessments, suggested that escalation indicators had already been detected before the attack, reinforcing concerns of a coordinated and pre-planned strike scenario. Meanwhile, the US Embassy in Kyiv issued a security alert, warning of a potentially significant air attack within the next 24 hours. The embassy advised American citizens in Ukraine to remain prepared for immediate shelter in the event of air raid sirens. The statement highlights heightened threat perception in the capital as multiple intelligence channels flagged the risk of imminent aerial escalation.
Some say Zelensky even fled the country.
Intensifying operational environment around Kyiv, where advanced missile systems, intelligence warnings, and civilian preparedness alerts are converging. Ukrainian authorities, Western intelligence, and diplomatic missions are now operating under elevated alert status, as the reported use of Oreshnik missiles underscores the increasing complexity and speed of modern strike warfare in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict theater.
Yep, they're just getting things ready, because the Third World War cometh quickly. And I believe that's about it. Yep. Don't care. Alright, Slovakia. Gotta get back to this. So anyways, got one more here, though. You know, because, you know, whether you call him a bishop or whatever, this joke of a clown, Bishop Nathaniel, or Nate, still, you know, will mock us, say, it's June, ain't no evidence of microchip. Well, you know, it is coming. Keep mocking at us, you sellout, because you don't even have the names Yahushai anymore. But nonetheless, though, you know, we know it's coming. We can see it miles away. Well, you go ahead and you take that payout. You were most likely Judas Iscariot in previous lifetime. And of course, like everything else, though, we should have no respect for this son of a bitch, you know, Bishop Nathaniel. You know, he's nothing more than a charlatan, than a mockery of Yahweh Shai. You know, because here it is, he knows the names, and he deliberately blasphemes the names, you know, by pretty much telling you, oh, we don't know what the name is. He's a blasphemer, you know, and pretty much so. If people are getting murdered because they took the vaccine, and he wasn't warning against it, people, you know, get slaughtered by the tons because they took the MOTB, because he made a mockery of it. He's a murderer, you know, and he's leading a lot of people to die, you know. So this son of a bitch wants to mock at us, but yet it's coming. It's coming. We see it from miles away. Go ahead, keep mocking at us, because you have your place in the lake of fire. And you're going to be responsible for everybody else that takes it as well.
Ain't no microchip. It's June. Ain't no microchip. Ain't no microchips. It's June. Somebody should put a beat to that shit. Don't come to pass. We in June. Ain't no microchips. We in June. Ain't no microchips. Chips. 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 We in June. Ain't no microchips. June. June.
Somebody did?
Ain't no microchips. We in June. June. It's June. Ain't no microchips. Microchips. Isn't that powerful? Ain't no microchip. Ain't no microchips. It's June. It's almost June. Ain't no microchips.
Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the rule will teach well, and salutations to the hopeful elect. There's out there Christian's truth, and all honesty and sincerity across four corners of the earth. Shalom, this is Brother Yeramala, coming at you with a quick video through spirit, power, and mercy of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, this be edifying. So Nate gonna be mocked with that, all right, all the way to the chip come, and until we get up out of here, man. All right, you know, it's almost June, all right, you know, and the seal is steadily showing itself to be true to prophecy. All right, you know, how much evidence do Nate need? How much evidence do IUIC need? All right, so Elon Musk, you know, said that with the brain implant, or where they really want you to have it, is going to give Jesus level miracles, or going to perform Jesus level miracles, all right, in the form of they're going to use it to artificially heal people's eyesight, you know, their hearing, all right, you know, being able to walk, you know, from being crippled, All right, so this devil gonna touch it up to be as a miracle. All right, it says in Revelation 13. All right, so this devil is ready. This devil is ready to push this thing, man. So it's evident, man. If you have eyes to see. All right, but you know, people that teach contrary to doctrine, they gonna keep on trying to find a way to gloss over it, or you know,
dance around it.
Don't connect the dots to prophecy. All right, but that's to their you know, that's their fault. All right, that's to their avail. All right, so basically, you know, they doing themselves a disservice. All right, so to say. All right, but you know, for the ones that know, hey, you know, we prophesy in part. So hey, man, you know, we know in part, we prophesy in part. So we understand that what this pertains to, and you know, the elect and the hopeful elect, you know, which we hope to be a part of, you know, will not be deceived. All right. So they ready to push this thing. So Elon is just a spokesperson. All right. The forerunner, basically the person, all right, that's the face of pushing this thing. All right. So Esau, you know, he pushed people, you know, he support them and fund them behind the scenes, but he have them as the face of certain things. And recently, a couple weeks ago, all right, Trump met with China with a bunch of techies or people in these companies. So this is the new wave or the new era that we coming into of this technology. All right, which they going to use it all just to have surveillance on the people and to further control the people more directly with no middleman. Or that's all what this is. No middleman in between them, but to control the people directly, man. All right, whether, you know, they really control you or maneuver you in certain areas. Like in China, you know, they got full control over their citizens. That's why they're not happy. All right, they got you know, the suicide rooms and all these different things. All right, because people are not meant to be controlled on a cattle level. All right, and these small heads call us goyim, so they want to control us on a literal cattle level. And that's what you're doing by getting this mark. You're getting that branding from Esau. Or you're getting branded like cattle. All right, when you take that incision. All right, and you ultimately showing your allegiance to Esau. That's why if you're an Israelite and you take that seal, you're destined to be destroyed. All right, that's why, you know, we tell people not to take it, which 2/3 is going to be destroyed anyway. But hey, the elect not going to take this thing. All right, as it says in Revelation 14, that if you take this incision or take that mark, you're going to be burnt in the presence of the Lamb and the angels, man. We're not trying to experience and go through that, man. All right? So the time is here, the time is not, man. All right? So with that being said, shalom.
Yep. And like everything else, so, well, we know who was teaching and who wasn't, right? So, you know, Scott Ritter, who was recently on RT, you know, told it like it was, man. Russia hit target worthy of arrest next strike. Moscow's taken action in response to atrocities perpetrated by Kiev. Footage of Russian strike near Ukraine capital Kiev indicates that an Resnik missile was likely deployed by Moscow, which we already know that Russia's already confirmed it. In his interview with RT, Ritter said that there's at least one strike in the vicinity of Kiev that has the visual characteristics of a Resnik missile, and he was right to call that out. You know, the possible use of a Resnik is also a signal to the West that as an entire system exists beyond Ukraine's borders into Europe and perhaps into the U.S. that facilitates and empowers Kiev's drone attacks in Lugansk and elsewhere inside Russia, he added. So basically, you know, this system itself is going to really change what's going on there in West Asia. That, yeah, you might have those bases there, but you already see what Iran's capable of by themselves. Imagine once Russia gets involved and starts helping Turkey and Iran, you know, to fight off the enemy. And remember, Turkey has newer ICBMs as well, but they're probably going to have to rely on Russia a lot, you know, for backing. And it said they would back them, right? Because it's in Ezekiel chapter 38. And like everything else, so, you know, those that were complicit in the attacks against Iran and helping the U.S., Iran hangs man for spying during war with U.S. and Israeli judiciary. Sunday's hanging was the first known execution for a spying offense committed during the war with the Israeli state and the U.S. Iran on Sunday hanged a man convicted of espionage. Judiciary said the first known execution for a spying offense committed during the war against Israeli state and the U.S. It said he shared information related to Iran's defense capabilities during the nearly 40-day war. His execution is the first directly linked to spying offensive carried out during the war, which broke out. Since the start of the conflict, Iran has stepped up executions for spying or collaborating with the Israeli state and the U.S., although prior to Sunday, all those hanged were sentenced for offenses carried out before the war. So like everything else, now they're holding those responsible. And you have this just recently happened, right? I wonder if this is a false flag to blame Iran, but I know that the Israelis would have to be behind it, right? Dozens killed in bomb attack targeting Pakistani train station. Terrorist attack at a railway station in the capital of Pakistan province of Balochistan has left 24 people killed and scores more wounded. The perpetrator of the attack, who died in the blast, blew up the bomb at the train station in Quetta on Saturday. Hazma Shilkot, a senior government administrator, said the terror attack took place as passengers were awaiting the train going to the garrison city of Rawalpindi. Heavy gunfire was heard after the attack. So, like everything else though, yeah, you're going to see a lot more of these things, mercenaries, etc. Saturday's attack takes place as Pakistani's Chief of Army General Saeed Asim Munir left Tehran after an official visit for mediation to discuss advancing the consultative process aimed at supporting peace and stability in the region. And then this happens. Yep, you can best believe the Israelis are behind that. Israeli state unleashes new Gaza strike soon after Trump says Iran peace deal largely negotiated or moves to reopen as final terms discussed. Well, that's what he says. That's not really what's going on, but he's giving everybody the illusion that the strait is going to be open again. Israeli state launches significant new attacks against the Gaza Strip, just as word of a tentative U.S.-Iran peace deal is driving international headlines. Trump says Iran peace agreement has been largely negotiated and will be announced shortly, with the reopening of the strait, including the deal's key elements. But then they're going to say, oh, well, they didn't agree to, get rid of their enriched uranium as a reason to break the deal, or a reason that a deal didn't go through. Israeli strike on police site intended to create security vacuum in Gaza. So like everything else, the Israeli regime is attempting to spread chaos in the Gaza Strip by continuing to target police centers and personnel. Systematic targeting of civilian police personnel is an extension of the war of extermination and attempts to strike at the social fabric. Hamas warned, emphasizing that the Israeli war machine failed to subdue the people and their resistance or force them to surrender. Resistance movement called on states guaranteeing the Gaza ceasefire agreement to fulfill their responsibilities and force the regime to halt these dangerous violations. Well, they haven't done shit yet. There ain't no fucking peace deals going on, man. The Israeli state and the U.S. can do whatever the fuck they want to. Like the new blockade against Iran takers. Now, Iran has still figured out how to get there, but, there's a new embargo, a new blockade, right? Trump has a blockade against Iran, a naval blockade. So you see that they do whatever the fuck they want to. Fucking peace deal. They violate everything because they ain't going to hold true because Esau's been a liar from day one. And like everything else, though, we can see that Esau's kingdom is coming to an end. And it's the beginning of our kingdom. So we know that Ereshniks and lots of other things are going to be introduced into this war. And like everything else, though, in the midst of this war, especially when these ICBMs be fired, the 200 million of them, 200,000, destroying the third part of man, Russia, the holding army, is going to have a date with Yahweh Shai. And this is what's being prophesied. You see, like everything else, though, Yahweh Shai is going to come against all the armies of the world, which Russia will be that leading army after Babylon's destroyed. You know, so there's not going to be any time that Russia's going to rule. Don't let Sakari fool you into thinking that Russia has rule for a while, because they won't. Because at the same time that Babylon the Great is destroyed, well, guess what? Yahweh Shai and the angels, who are already here, who have already gathered the elect from that lake of fire, is just about ready to destroy the rest of the armies led by Russia. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1, and it reads, "This is another message that came to me from the Most High Yahweh. Son of man, turn and face Gog, the land of Magog," aka Russia, "the prince who rules over the nations of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Give him this message from the sovereign power. Gog, I am your enemy. I will turn you around and put hooks into your jaws and lead you out with your whole army, your horses and charioteers in the full armor, and a great horde armed with shields and swords." You know, all their advanced missile systems, including Oreshniks, etc. "Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya will join you, too, with all their weapons," meaning that they're going to try to fight against Yahweh Shai and the armies, right? "Gomer and all its armies will also join you, along with the armies of Bet Togarmah from the distant north and many others." See, they're going to have to face Yahweh Shai and the angels as he comes down to, take the crowns. And the final crowns are that of Russia and all those nations surrounding Russia. "Gomer and all its armies will join you, along with the armies of Bet Togarmah from the distant north and many others." You see, like everything else, so that's talking about Turkey. "Get ready and be prepared. Keep all the armies around you mobilized and take command of them." You know, so pretty much so, they're going to try to fight Yahweh Shai and the angels. "A long time from now, you will be called into action in the distant future," which we're in now. "You will swoop down against the land of Israel, which will be enjoying peace after recovering from war." So somehow they're going to feel that they had achieved their new world order, right? And that they had subdued all these places. So somewhere they're going to think that they've subdued Turkey, they've subdued Iran, and got everything they wanted. However, though, this is when Yahweh Shai and the angels is going to interrupt. "And after its people have returned from many lands to the mountains of Israel, you and all your allies, a vast and awesome army, will roll down on them like a storm and cover the land like a cloud. This is what the sovereign power Yahweh says. At that time evil thoughts will come into your mind, and you will devise a wicked scheme. You will say, Israeli state is the unprotected land filled with unwalled villages. I will march against her and destroy these people who live in such confidence." So there it is. And at that point, that's when Yahweh Shai and the angels show up. Because Russia will have already destroyed Babylon the Great. So the only thing left is to take out the Zionists and the Israeli state. And that's when Yahweh Shai and the angels show up to destroy Gog and the land of Magog. And we see that all in the making. Not too far distant from now. You know, so go ahead and mock at us, because once that MOTB is mandated worldwide, this war is going to break out. And at the very end of it, Russia's going to be destroyed after Babylon the Great. So hopefully this has been edifying. Got one more here before I close this out. So then I want to say, Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Brakatum Jehovah elect. And this is just a prelude as to the blessings that we're going to receive after enduring through much tribulation will we enter therein. But this is what we're going to see as another brother is breaking it down. Shalom.
All right. Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and as well as the men that taught them. And peace and blessings to all you Akim out there who pushing his word with all truth and sincerity, and as well as to all you believers out there who believe in the gospel. Yeah, and it's the brother Kwara Abad from the GMS Houston camp. And I want to go into another lesson, the Lord willing, to do be edifying. And what I want to speak on, it was something that I mentioned yesterday in my lesson, you know, and I kind of want to, land back on that point. Right, but yesterday in my lesson I had went into how even if in this truth we have to be a martyr, or give our life, or as the people in the world will call it, die. Right? As the people in the world will call it, die. Right? Dying. And then, I was kind of making a point how even if somebody of the elect have to die, that's not gonna stop them from being on that chariot, man. So going into it is a win-win. If we live or have to die to be an elect, it's still a win-win. But in that lesson, I made the point of how, but it's better to be alive to witness the very acts of our power, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai in these latter days, man. And I'm going to get that in the scripture real quick here in Ezra. So it should be a quick here. That's all I got. But again, yeah, it's a win even if we have to give our life, right? And die. And as I said in 1 Thessalonians 4, we go get, those who have to give their life go get beamed up first, right? Go get beamed up first. So that's a blessing as well. But behind it, it's a big but, right? But though, according to the scriptures, we're going to get it. It will be better to be alive, man, and to witness Jacob's trouble, the end of the movie, live and in person. And that's the only thing those who die in this world won't be able to see. Yeah, they still gonna be in the church, they still gonna be the elect, they still gonna get the new body, kings and priests, right? They did the whole deal, getting beamed up. They still gonna get something 2/3 will never experience. But one thing those mortals won't get to witness is to be here in person as the end of the world is taking place, as Jacob's trouble is taking place. Some of them who martyrs might not ever see Leviathan when he pop out for the first time and scare the world. You feel me? Like some might not be here to witness the brothers getting spiritual power and fighting against the militaries of the world, in a city, in downtown, But the thing is, man, it's going to be a blessing to be dead if we have to die for this truth. But more so, if the Lord allows us to be alive, especially to witness Yahweh Shai is coming. There's another day in Jacob's trouble, and, you just feel the earth shake, and the sky get dark, and then the Lord show up, and boom. See, those are some of the things that the ones who have already died before all this, they won't be able to see. But that's why the scripture's going to say here in a few, man, we want to be alive to see these things, though. We want to be alive to witness the end of the world take place. Now, granted, yeah, if you are the elect and you happen to be a martyr or die before some of these things happen, yeah, of course in the kingdom you can go back and watch it, right? You can replay it and see it for yourself, right? But it's different when you actually have that in-person experience, man. You see? So let's go ahead and get to scripture real quick. This second Ezra 13. Now this is Ezra speaking to the angel, right? And this is also in the same chapter, second Ezra 13. That Ezra had that vision about Yahweh Shai coming during World War III, right? During World War III. And Yahweh Shai showing up in the heavens and fighting the militaries of the war and winning. So Ezra's seeing all this. So as he asking the angel, what does all this mean? The angel go tell him the interpretation of the vision. Check this out. So second Ezra 13 and verse 14 in the GNT. I'm going to read it in the GNT, right? It says, I was so frightened that I woke up. So this after Ezra seen the vision of Yahweh Shai coming. He was so scared he popped up and said, I was so frightened that I woke up. I prayed to the Most High and said, Lord, you have been showing me all these marvelous things. What things? Put some context behind it for the point that Ezra's about to make. That's the point of the lesson. We want to be here to see these things. What things? Before this, Ezra's already seen 2nd Ezra 8, 2nd Ezra 9, right? Just like the angel told him that. Uriel told Ezra, she said, man, the Lord must love you because he's showing you so many things that he don't show other men. Ezra seen Jacob's trouble, right? The end of the world take place, people losing their mind, a lack of self-control in the earth, friends fighting against friends and wars and all these things he's seen, man. So this what he about to say now. Oh, on top of this chapter, he also seen Yahweh Shai coming. Now check this out. It says, Lord, you have been showing me all these marvelous things. You have considered me worthy and have heard my prayers. Now please show me the meaning of this dream also. So he asked and show me the meaning of what this meant. This man coming and flying on this big mountain like chariot and destroying the armies of the world. What does this mean? It says, I have been thinking, now this Ezra still speaking, he says, I have been thinking how terrible it will be for the people who will be living in those days. And so I don't want to keep stopping, but I got to keep stopping to kind of make the point though. So now Ezra saying, he was like, man, after seeing all this, I was thinking in my mind like how bad it's going to be for the people who living in those days. In other words, he's seen Jacob's trouble. He's seen, the Leviathan. He's seen Yahweh come back and shoot fire down. And in his mind, he was like, damn, I feel bad for the people who living during that time. In other words, he's saying, shit, they gonna have to go through all that stuff. I feel bad for them that they got to go through a time like never before. But as he's starting to come to his senses, he's starting to realize how much of a blessing it's going to be to actually be here than not be here. Hear him out. 2nd Ezra 13, I'm going to start up again. In verse 15 in the GNT, it says, now please show me the meaning of this dream also. I have been thinking how terrible it will be for the people who will be living in those days. But, right, it says, but how much worse for those who do not survive. So he was like, yeah, I thought it was bad for the people who was going to be living in those times. He said, but really, now that I'm thinking, it's going to be far worse for the people who not going to survive these times, who going to be dead while this going on. He's going to tell you why. It says, they will be in great sorrow because, so this is why. I'm going to read it again. Verse 16, I have been thinking how terrible it will be for the people who will be living in those days. But how much worse for those who do not survive. They will be in great sorrow because they will not enjoy any of the pleasures reserved for the last days. You see? So not just to witness the destruction and finally see our power work in the earth, but in this time, the elect going to be doing miracles and receiving miracles. So that's also another thing that they might not experience if they are already in the grave. You see? The Lord may put us in a situation and an angel come to us, or, a raven feed us. And I'm just giving things that already happened in the scriptures of miracles. But remember, we're in a time like never before. So it's going to be new miracles that the Lord going to do. Sirach 36, it says, Lord, show new signs and new miracles and other strange wonders. So the elect about to undergo and do new miracles in this time. So some of the elect who already died, these are some of the things they gonna miss out on though. Again, not saying it's they losing, because even if they died, it's already a blessing. They already won because they in a new body, But they just not gonna be on earth watching the end of the world play out though, man. Let's read this again. It says, I have been thinking how terrible it will be for the people who will be living in those days. But how much worse for those who do not survive. They will be in great sorrow because they will not enjoy any of the pleasures reserved for the last days. It says, but how terrible also for those who do survive. So he was like, but those who are alive, it's going to be bad for them too. It says, for those who do survive, they will have to face great dangers and many troubles as these dreams have shown. So he getting a balance of it. He was like, man, I thought it was going to be bad for those who are alive, but it's going to be worse for those who are not alive, because they're not going to be able to witness the end of the world and the law of power at the end of this movie. He says, but for those who do survive, they're going to be here and they're going to be in great dangers and many troubles as these dreams have shown. But the conclusion of the matter is, he says, verse 20, but nevertheless, it is better to pass through these dangers and reach the end than to disappear like a cloud from this world and never see what takes place in the last days. Come on, man. Come on, man. So again, as a hopeful member of the elect, we understand that whether we have to give our life or be alive, to be on that chariot is a win-win. But as Ezra just said, I want to be here. I want to be here to see this. You can get in the kingdom and tell my children, yeah, man, Jacob's trouble, man. I see the Lord do this. And Yahweh, he came through and did this. I see Leviathan pop out and show niggas. right? We want to witness these things, but even if the Lord have us to be a martyr, cool. As long as we're the elect, cool, man. But we want to be here to see what the Lord gonna do, what our power gonna do. Remember, He haven't showed the world His power in a long time. Yeah, we see it every day by people dying, or a 5-year-old get shot in the head, or a tsunami and a hurricane, and this man getting caught on fire. Right? We talking about ancient works of the Lord, divine judgments, divine intervention. We want to be here to witness that, man. Let's read this again. It says, "Nevertheless, it is better to pass through these dangers and reach the end than to disappear like a cloud from this world and never see what takes place in the last days," man. You see that? Let me get one more. So we want to be here. We want to be here. This Luke, real quick. This Luke 21. And I'm going to start at 35. Yep. I'm going to start at 36. Straight to the point. It says, So watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. So, man, that's how, again, even if the elect die, it ain't just that they quit. You know, like ISUPK say, Moses, he left the truth. No, it's they finished their course. They done with this story. They done with their time here on earth until they got to come back and rule with the Lord. But I hope for my walk, whether it's my family walk as well, however the Lord have it, I want to be here to see these things, man. Again, I'm willing to give my life, right, to be an elect, but I really do want to be here to witness what our power do in the earth. I want to see some divine intervention, divine judgment, right? Things happen. Brothers get power. You know what I'm saying? Shit, myself get power. Do some miracles. Do some work. I want to be here for that. Although, like Ezra said, it's going to be scary. It's going to be many dangers and perils. We're going to be in Jacob's trouble. Nervous, we still got emotions, sweating, running, probably crying, stomach growling. Right. But I want to be here for that, though. You see? Because why? It's going to be better off that we actually experience the end of the world, man. It says, "So watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man." That's the hope. To escape all these things, get beamed up, and to look at how it shine in the face, and hopefully hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," man. That's the goal. But Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'll cut it right there. But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory once again unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and as well as the men that taught them. And peace and blessings to all you Akim out there who pushing His word with truth and sincerity, and as well as to all you believers out there who believe in the gospel. You keep fighting, keep pushing. We almost out of here. And with that, shalom.